Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. My name is Zack DelTurco. I'm an executive consultant here at Center for Victory. And today we have the privilege of talking with Eric Guy, the Chief Victory Officer, about his book, The Life of Victory.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for being back.
Yep.
Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 2 of You're Doing Everything Backwards.
Okay.
So why don't you start off and explain a little bit about why you wrote the chapter of We're Doing Everything Backwards.
Well, what I saw is just the preface for most people want success, but we're living out of past conditioning. So we're just living, unconsciously, and people go to change, but change isn't always logical because we have to deal with the reactive state. Change happens at an unconscious level. And instead of being reactive, we have to learn to respond to our environment. And one of the things about when I really take a look at what we're doing backwards, the biggest thing that we're doing backwards is we're not focused on relationships. We have all these issues with drugs, with alcohol, with sex and pornography, and even shopping, and
Retail therapy.
Retail therapy. We don't want to do any of these things, but we're living reactively. And what I noticed is balance. Most people want balance and success. That happens through connection and relationship. I mean, it's just a natural brain thing. It doesn't matter what your personality or anything like that is. So we have to get connected, and we're moving further away from that than closer to it. Even though we can reach out and touch someone on social media, it's not like a true connection where there's balance and regulation of that. And a lot of us are just, through past conditioning, we're really focused on things that don't matter. Nobody's taking a look at, hey, what matters in my life? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? What kind of things do I want to have?
What do you think the currency of a healthy relationship looks like?
Well, one where you can be very self-aware, where both people are very self-aware, where they're very authentic. And the biggest thing is where there's a level of transparency where you're okay with who you are, I'm okay with who I'm at, I am, and I don't judge that. We can go back and forth, and I support it rather than saying, well, you're just different than me. I just dismiss you. Really accepting those differences and working alongside of them. And if there are any differences, how do I make them more complementary so we can both grow together?
That's good. Anything else on we're doing anything backwards that you can kind of speak into?
No, I think the next question that we're going to get into, we'll dive further in that.
About the unconscious mind, or subconscious, and how actually your conscious mind is connected to the subconscious. And we talked a little bit about your recent coaching client that you were meeting with. This person was talking about she wanted this kind of life, but her actions spoke a little bit louder than what she really wanted.
Right.
So how does the subconscious really tie into that? Because she was speaking one thing, but her actions were saying another thing.
Right. One of the quotes that I like, when the Dalai Lama was asked what surprised him most, he said, man. And he said man because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices his money to recuperate his health. And he's so anxious about the future that he doesn't live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. And that's so powerful. And in this circumstance, this young lady who wants to get better is telling me everybody's coming down on her because she's going out and partying every weekend. And she says, well, don't I deserve that? And I said, you tell me.
Yeah.
Do you deserve it? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're telling me you want to be successful and you want to have a good life and you want these things. And you might say that all week and give that week all lip service, and then you go and blow it. Doing dumb things, blowing your your paycheck, whatever, and you want more money, but you're going out and just blowing it all, and you're not with the right people. And get yourself aligned with the right people. And a lot of people would just unconsciously, we just go through the motions, and we don't think about right, to that quote from the Dalai Lama, we don't think about what life's supposed to be. Not what can I get, but how can I give? How can I live? How can I serve? What can I do to make an impact while I'm here? To be present and then have a future.
Yeah.
Most people are just living out of the past. They're not present, and they're just creating the same future that they had in the past. So they're really just living in the past.
Yeah, and you talked about, we've had multiple conversations. You had your best year yet. This was years ago. You had your best year yet as a business, yet you found yourself very unhappy. And the outside look again, people were like, wait, you had your best year yet.
Yeah.
How are you unhappy? And you talked about these decision gates based on your role, ROLE.
Yeah.
Speak to that a little bit, because I think it could help some people listening and watching that might be in the same state of the unhappiness because they're not making decisions based on that decision gate.
Right. When I looked at that, to just go back, I mean, it's years and years ago. Just had best year, was starting to go international, selling lots of products. Back in those days, it wasn't the MP3 or anything like that. It was the CD. The
Wasn't
DVD.
the 8-track?
It wasn't the 8-track. No, we didn't have that. I don't even know how you would burn an 8-track, right? But they were CDs and DVDs, and we had a whole room just with products in it. It was crazy. At that point, just shelved themselves with products in it. It was like, well, we get sidetracked. But anyhow, I mean, it was, just revenue-wise, we had just phenomenal year. And I wasn't miserable. I wasn't depressed.
Yeah.
I just knew I wasn't the happiest I could be. And when I took inventory of that year, the big aha came to me. I said, okay, what do you want? Maybe I just lived a little bit unconscious through that year. So I became more conscious of what I wanted. And what I asked myself after that year is like, what do I really want? Like, who do I want to be? And it was the answers that came back. The 3 top answers were a great husband, a great father, and a great friend. And when I look back over that year, even though I was still happy, probably happier than most of the population, for me, I wasn't the happiest I could be. And so those became my decision gates from that point on. So anytime I make a decision, it's not about me being a speaker or an influencer or an author or anything like that. It's about, am I being the best husband, father, and friend I can be? And when I live towards that, 80-90% of my time, I feel fulfilled. But I have to be conscious about it. I think that was your point. I have to take what's unconscious and stop, just doing things because, I think that's what I'm supposed to do, and be more conscious about what it is that I want.
Yeah, and to kind of finalize with our last question, I do want to spend some time on this because I think in America, in the world today, we live from a place of fear and not from a place of love. And I know you focused on this specifically in chapter 2 of your book about choosing love over fear. Talk a little bit about that. Is that something that was born in us, that we're more fear focused than we are love focused? Where does that come from? Yeah,
well, some of it's nature, and quite a lot of it, especially nowadays, is nurture. You have all these people that are anxious, that are depressed, and what happens, I think, is just conditioning, but it's all the stress that we experience now in our society. We just have all these messages coming at us of this, that, and the other thing. But what we grow up with is a very controlling society, which is fear-based. Like, we can use different words for that. It's just not
breaking news. Everything's breaking news, right?
Breaking news, and it's all depressing. I mean, you can just, it doesn't matter what channel you're watching. You can watch any kind of news, and it's just like, ooh. But when you put that stuff in your subconscious mind all the time, it starts to snowball, right? And what I look at that, when that fear versus love piece, are you externally motivated or internally motivated? In a work environment, somebody that I have to externally motivate all the time, they might do good work, but somebody that's internally motivated is engaged and they want to do work, they're productive and they're efficient. If it's my kids, I don't have to externally motivate them all the time. They just want to do that. They want to do well in school. which I believe kids do want, all kids want to do well. We just are so much fear-based in our schools and our parenting that we can't get out of the way. We run interference instead of running non-interference. I mean, fear and love. And just say, what do I need to do for my kids to make them internally motivated, so when I'm away from them, they still are doing the same thing. And it's the abundance versus control. In our society, it's that the whole mindset, fear and love, of the difference between scarcity, fear-based, and abundance. I mean, when you live in an abundance mentality, right, and don't live in that scarcity, you can live out of our true nature, our loving nature, abundance, and be a giver and not a getter, right?
That's good, yeah.
And the big thing is that I ask people, that whole idea of fear versus love, if people are get the book, or if they read it, or if they want to know how can I get better, is like to ask yourself every day, am I surviving? Am I just surviving? Am I just unconscious, going on reactive mode, autopilot, or am I thriving? Am I living life to its fullest? And what I say, and I think I mentioned this in the book, is, really every person has the ability to write their own rule book for their life. And you can either let somebody else write it by their opinions, by past conditioning, or you can step into that and write your own. And what I believe is really everybody wants, deserves, and is created to be happy.
So give me just one thing between the choosing love and fear. What's one thing somebody can do watching and listening right now before we kind of conclude? What's one thing you can do to change that?
Well, I think that would be my last point, is to wake up and ask yourself, look, do I want to just survive, or do I want to thrive? And if the case is I want to thrive, then the first step can be a giver, not a taker. Yeah,
that's good. That's really, really good. So any last thoughts, any kind of application, or sum up of what you think people can do?
A couple points. I mean, when we're looking at all this, just a couple points to take away. One, spend some time and figure out what you want, and be more conscious of it. Number two, change the script of that past conditioning. Right? Get out of that old mindset, and part of that would be number three, become more self-aware. And then number four, put yourself into situations that are more love-based, and we answered some of that. Put yourself in more situations that are more love-based and fear-based, and begin and continue to thrive.
That's good. That's good. And I love this quote that you have. You say that you cannot overcome what you do not confront.
Correct.
I think that's so good. Like
Absolutely.
Today, your action step is to confront
whatever you're afraid of.
Whatever you're afraid of. If it's speaking, confront it. If it's giving, confront it.
If it's spiders,
kill it. But we want to thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you like what you see and heard, go ahead and like. You can also go to the notification, click on that bell so you get all the updates that are coming out. But follow us at Center for Victory on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can go to our website at centerforvictory.com. And if you want us to connect on a deeper basis, you can give us a call at 724-462-8383. And remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet.
Take care.
Have a good one.